Hello there, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to another video. And this one we're going to create a full website from scratch. So we're going to learn a bit about Figma. We're also going to learn a bit about design. So if you have trouble designing certain websites or apps or whatever you want, I'm going to try to give you my thought process on building out this shoe website. I know, shoe website, but hey, everybody has shoes, so why not? So the first thing I usually do, make sure to open up Figma. If you don't have it, download it. I also highly recommend you to follow along because, hey, practice makes perfect. So yeah, the first thing I want to do, since this is a shoe website, is obviously I'm going to look up shoes. So one good site that you can use is Pexels. So we have Pexels here. I just searched running shoes and I found certain pictures like this one or this one. But eventually I just handpicked out a few and you don't need to worry about it. I just linked everything in the description down below. So everything is linked, don't worry, just download those and follow along. So there we go. This is the first picture we're gonna use. I kind of edited this a bit in Photoshop because it had an ugly background, but it looks okay now. So we have the shoes. And by the way, before we do this, actually, you probably don't have this landing page, so let me delete this. And what you can do is we can basically create a frame. Now what a frame is, you can imagine it as being just a page on your website. So you can click on the frame tool and just click anywhere you want. It's gonna give us a frame. Now I want this to be full HD. So here you have width and height to your right. Oh, that kind of rhymed. Oh, that rhymed as well. Okay. So here the height is going to be 1920 by 1080, which is going to be full screen, full HD. Nice. So we can take the shoes and kind of drag it in here in the frame tool. We can also rename this to landing page. Now, one important thing about creating any kind of design is to have proper structure. What I mean by that is, let me show you. We're going to hit the text tool. We're going to drag out here and I'm going to name this, we're going to have a headline. So we're going to say run faster and let's make this bigger. And what I basically want to have on my front page, since this is a product that I want to showcase, well, the first thing I want you to see is the shoes, some catchy tagline, a small description, and a button or something that you can buy the product. So that's kind of how I think about what I want to have on my front page. So the product, some text that describes the product, maybe a reason to make you buy it, and then some button where you can either buy or learn more. So good. So run faster, run Forrest, run. And we also kind of want to have a subtext here, and then I'm going to talk about structure. So we're going to have made for high speed running. I kind of wrote everything down here just so I don't write bananas are nice or something. I don't know. So there we go. We have our second text, and yeah, as you can see right now, just everything kind of looks messy, and that's one important thing that is important in design is structure. Make everything kind of flow together. And what I mean by that is have really nice spacing, have text that always starts in the same position so it's easier to read everything. Because right now this is kind of weird, hard to read. You don't even know where your eyes necessarily are going. So if you take this and kind of put everything nicely like next to each other, it's going to make everything so much better. So the first step that we can do is let's just work on these texts a bit. Let's see, we have 96 on this, and here let's make this smaller. Let's go 64. So this is like the smaller tagline. Let's also create some buttons. Up here you can go to rectangle tool. We can just drag out a rectangle. That should be okay. And we can also hit Alt and just drag, and then that's gonna duplicate everything for us. Good. So on this one, let's just kind of structure everything nicely together. So one thing is that right now this kind of aligns itself to this blue box around, but I want everything to align itself based on the text. So the box should run like this. Because right now, as you can see, this should be the middle because we have that orange highlighting. There we go. That's the middle. But hey, the text is not in the middle. So one way we can do that is if we go to the triple dots here. And by the way, that's why I'm here with the webcam today, is because you could not see those tools if my webcam would be there. So hit the 3 dots here, and we can do width, height. Click on these 2, and look at that. It kind of just makes itself the same height, the blue box, as the text. So we can just do it on all of our texts. Width, there we go, that's enough. And I'm just going back to the default here of fixed. These don't need it, so let's just organize everything nicely here. So where should we put this? Because I kind of want to have the same distance with the shoes on the right side here and the left side as well. So one thing you can use is a grid tool in Figma. So let's click on the landing page, and we can go to our layout grid. What you can do is click plus, and you get this grid. We can open it here, go to columns, and I can just do 12 columns. And that's gonna give us a nice grid here. You can also change the opacity down here if you're blind like me and you have issues seeing things. And what we can do is now we can easily align this text, let's say to our second column, and even the shoe, we can kind of drag it to the second column here. So this is going to be here. We can drag this here like so. And even the buttons, we can just align everything nicely. Good, now we can take everything and just move it to the center. So I kind of want to have this like so. I kind of want to have the text here. Actually, I'm going to move this a bit more up. And I'm going to have a bit of a distance with the buttons like so. And we can also align this to its middle. But I kind of want to make this smaller a bit because I want to have a navigation bar up here. And I don't want the shoes to kind of go over everything. So I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. It's something like that. And just kind of drag it towards the center. And also the second column here. And we're going to let go. We can turn this off and see what we have. So there we go. Everything looks already way better than what we had. Now again, as long as there's like a decent structure to this, I guess you can move this around. You don't necessarily, like maybe that even looks better. But as long as you have a decent flow to your text and your buttons, everything is good. So even here, like you don't want that. You kind of want to have everything nicely put together. Good. So there we go. Now we're gonna mess around with colors and font in just a bit, but I also want to create the navigation up here. So let's just turn this back on because look, right now we can do spacing and everything super easy. So here I'm gonna drag out this the text tool. I'm gonna drag out just a square, like so. Good. So here I'm gonna say home. I'm gonna make this smaller, hit Control A, that's gonna select everything, or just drag with your mouse. And we can make this, let's go 24. 24 should be okay. We're gonna say home. And what you can also do is just easily align this in the center by hitting this text align horizontally and then vertically here. And boom, there we go. Now watch this, we can just hold Alt and drag, and we can easily just drag this down here. Now this is not perfect. Let me resize this, make sure that it hits the corners properly, and just drag again. And there we go. Drag again. Look at that, we have the same spacing. Drag again. Actually here I want to have a cart with a checkout. So I'm gonna delete this one. And let's rename this to shoes. And rename this to, we're gonna have about. Good. Now we have a cart. I copied it from the internet, just changed it a bit. So I'm just gonna link that as well in the description. I'm gonna put it here. Now to have a checkout button, we are gonna have the ellipse tool, and I'm just gonna grab a circle and drag it out here. Make it a bit smaller maybe, something like so. Kind of have the same distance here as well, a bit smaller maybe. Yeah, that's okay. Just make sure we have the same space here as well on the left and the right side. Yeah, that looks good. So now what we can do here is just add a text again and just add 1. Boom, we're gonna change this to white, and we're gonna change the contrast and everything in just a bit. So there we go. We can turn off the grid here by hitting the I, and there we go. Look at that. Now let's change the colors and the font. So I don't know, when you have a product, I kind of usually like to sample colors from that product. So what I mean by that is I'm just going to take the colors from the shoe, and I'm going to create a palette out of that. So I'm going to have some red for the things that I want to pop, and I'm going to have some grayish color to the things that are less important. So what I want to be important? Well, I want the text up here to be important and the buttons as well. So that's my main thing I want you to look at. So what you can do is hit the text, hit the I, and look, you can just sample a color from that. Now I'm gonna give you the exact color I used. So let's see here. We're gonna say hashtag 81363B. There we go. So we have an intense red color. Red is very intense, brings your eyes to it, and hey, it just looks awesome. We're gonna do the same to this. So what you can do is just hit I and just sample it from there. Let's go in the middle here. There we go. Hit these. We're gonna hit I, and for this one, I want this to be like a buy now or just buy. And this is like a secondary button that's not that important. So for this, I'm gonna have something like learn more about our shoes, okay? So for this one, actually, let's get rid of the fill, and I'm gonna add a stroke to this. So click the stroke, delete the fill. I'm gonna increase the width to like 3 pixels, and the color I used on this is gonna be, let me copy this. It's gonna be 636877. Good, let go, and there we go. So for our text in here, we're gonna drag out, and I'm gonna say shop now. Let's make this smaller, 24, yeah, more, 36, looks okay. Again, we can hit the align tools here to align it perfectly. Let's change the color to white, like so. Maybe that's a bit too big. 24, 24 is okay. Because we're gonna change the font as well, because this still doesn't look that good. And in here, we can do the same. We can do learn more. All right, this is not as important. Let go. And let me make sure that these are the same size. Good. Now, for this one, we can do the color of this can be the same as the border here. So we can hit the I, and we're gonna sample this as well. Now, what I'm basically gonna do for all of these buttons is I'm gonna apply this color to the navigation. So make sure to apply all this gray color to these. So we're gonna go up here, hit I, boom, hit I, and just sample this again. Let's do it one more time. I think this one is already set to it, and we can do the same to this square. So not the one, the eclipse, and hit this color. Perfect. So now everything looks a bit better. Now what you can also do is like take everything here and hit Control G, and you can group everything up nicely and name this checkout. So if you want to be a bit more organized, I definitely recommend you to do that, especially when you're going to have a ton of things. Yeah, you're gonna have a struggle having 10,000 things here. But I kind of want to do this faster so I don't waste your time. So yeah, I might not group everything together for you. Now, one thing I don't like is the background color is just too white. There's too much contrast. So to change that, we can go on the landing page up here and add a background color of D9, 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 which is gonna give us a much nicer shade to our website. So there we go. Perfect. What else do we need? Well, we can add the fonts. So this one looks kind of boring. It doesn't really have any flair to it. And the way I kind of like to pick fonts is I like to read the font. And if I read it, I kind of want to have the expression that I have in my head. So if I'm going to say something like, run faster, well, I want to have an intense font then. If you have something like, we have Montserrat here. So let's put Montserrat. Well, this kind of looks smooth and like curvy. And I kind of says like, if I would read this in my head, it would be something like, made for high-speed running. That just sounds too smooth for me. I want something more intense. If you want something smooth, well, yeah, you can use this, but I want something more intense. So for that, I use something called Rousseau 1. So here we can do Rousseau 1. And as you can see, this is just a bit more like sportsy looking, and it's a bit more intense. So let's change everything to Rousseau 1 here. Rousseau 1. Good. I'm also going to drag this out so it's in one line. And also the buttons here, I'm going to say Rousseau 1 and Rousseau 1. Now for these up here, I can leave it like you can have multiple fonts. For navigation, Roboto works fine. You can also use Montserrat, but this one is kind of standard. I don't really want the aggressiveness up here, so I'm gonna just use Roboto, and for text that I want on my main page, I'm gonna use Rousseau 1. Perfect. So there we go. That's our first page. Let's get into the second page. Let's click the frame tool again, click, and we're gonna do the same height to this. So we're gonna go to our frame. We're gonna do 1920 by 1080, like so. Drag it up here. We're gonna rename this to second or product page. And we're gonna take the second picture I linked and we're gonna paste it in here, like so. We're gonna drag this to the center. And we're gonna add a background color to the second page of, let me see quickly, it's 2A, 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 like so. Which is gonna give us this super dark color. Now what this is gonna do is it's gonna bring out our shoe because we have so much color in here. And this one is just a faded color. I like it also because it's elegant. I don't know, I think it just fits everything really nicely. And plus, we have some darker colors up in here, and it kind of just matches the background, so that's nice as well. So we have that, and let's also add some text here on our left. So I'm just gonna grab the T, drag this out. I'm gonna say Air Boost, because these are apparently the shoes. And we're gonna just add white to this. And also one important thing, you can also highlight something with contrast. So if you want to have your eyes more on this one, then you can increase the contrast on this. So if you go darker here, as you can see, it becomes more intense and it just pops out more. So that's also another thing that I forgot to mention. Maybe you don't have colors, maybe you just have white and gray. So I'm gonna show you here. So Air Boost, and maybe you have a description designed for maximum speed. Perfect. Let's make this smaller. We're gonna do 24 on this text. Let's do 24. And on the big one, we're gonna do 72. Like so. Perfect. So what I mean by that is, let's change this to white. But maybe if I want you to focus on this one more, I can add a bit of a gray to this, like so. So it's very subtle, but it brings out the upper text more just because the contrast is way stronger. But in this case, I don't really want to do that. So here, let's also do the width. So it's the same width here as well, width. I don't know, this seems a bit small for me. Maybe 24 is not good enough. Let's do 30. Let's type 30 here. There we go. Drag this down, hit this tool again, the width. Perfect. And I added some more description, which I wrote down. So let's write it down. With a soft and lightweight finish to give you the extra boost of speed. Wow, amazing. Drag this to white. Perfect. Let's also add a price here. We're gonna say price, and we're gonna add $1.99. Expensive, super expensive shoes. Drag this to white, and you know what? We can copy the button from here. So grab the text and the button, hold Alt and drag it down here. Nice. So we can align everything nicely. Again, product page, we can add the layout grid again. Hit columns, 12. And I'm gonna align it again to the second one. So boom, like that. Drag this like so. You also get the same distance, as you can see there, 49, 49. So we can just drag everything to 49. Doesn't work on this one. Let's add the width again. Do we get the autocomplete? No? Ripperoni. Okay. That's fine. We're gonna move this around a bit more. Let's grab the shop. Actually, I'm gonna group these two. Hold Shift, grab both. G, and drag this. Oh, there we go, 49. So we can grab everything and kind of center it in the middle. Perfect. This one, drag it all the way here. Again, to the second one. And let's get rid of this. Hide. Oh, that's the upper one. The product page. There we go. Perfect. And I kind of want to highlight this as well more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and drag out a rectangle like so. Now I can bring this all the way down below the shoes, and I can add a corner radius of 50 to make it rounder like that. And I can sample the same. Let's just bring down the opacity of this to like 20 or something. As you can see, that kind of makes this card pop. So I can bring up the shoe, and what I want to have below here is a way you can select the individual colors to the shoes. So maybe you can click through the colors and the shoe changes its color. So to do that, I'm just going to grab the Eclipse tool, just drag out a circle like so, and I'm going to sample the color from the shoe. Hit I. We're going to get this color like so. Drag out with Alt. I'm going to have 3 times. So we have the same spacing. Hit Shift. I'm going to just move everything to the center. And for these, I'm going to go to the fill. I'm just going to change. Actually, this is too vibrant for me. Let's do, this is a darker part like this one. All right, good. Actually, I have one here which is not that bright, and the color is FF. Let's change it to this one. I prefer this one. FF44B. Oh, that's not the one. FF444B. Perfect. So for these, I can just go on this one, sample the color. Again, just pick whatever color you want. I can sample the previous color and just change it. And then it's gonna look nice. So maybe we're gonna have a shoe with a purplish color, and let's do a, I don't know, shall we go with a greenish one? There we go, that looks kind of cool. So, hey, there we go. We did our second page. Didn't even take so long. There we go. Look, it's super simple. It pops. You can see everything nicely. And the thing I kind of also want to emphasize is that you shouldn't add more things that are not necessary. So you see a lot of sites that add weird shapes and a lot of crap that doesn't really have anything to do with it, just to make it look cooler or something. I don't know. But let's do the last page as well. It's getting kind of dark. So we're gonna hit the frame tool, click. We're gonna do the same size again, 1920 by 1080. There we go. Drag this here, and I'm gonna go turn on the lights. Good, so now that we have the lights turned on, we can finish our contact page. So for this one, again, we can just sample colors that we have from up here. All right, so for the text and everything. Now for the contact page here, I don't really want anything crazy. I just want a form, and I want to let people know that, hey, this is a contact page. So I'm just gonna drag out some text here. I'm gonna say contact us, like so. We're gonna make this bigger. Let's do 72, 94. That's good, just a big contact page here. Good, let's make it the same size here. I'm gonna drag this to the middle, like so. You can do with the grid tool again to make sure this is centered after the 1, like so. I'm gonna do this fast now, but we can just copy the color from up there, then we can have a contact form up here. Now to add a little flow to this, we can just drag out a circle like so, and I'm gonna drag this below, well, above, like so. I'm gonna move this, and we're gonna have our contact on top of this one. Good. So for this, we can just grab the color from up here again, like so. I didn't want this to be super blocky. You could just drag down a line. You can make a square, but I think this gives a bit of more of a flow to the page. Good, and now here we have the inputs, the name and the inputs. So we can do text, drag, and we can do name. We can make this smaller. Let's do 18, oh, too small. 24, 34. Yeah, that's okay. Let's do 34. Change this to white. And then we can do, also yeah, that's okay. All right, so we have the name here. We need a rectangle tool. I'm gonna drag it down below here. I'm gonna get rid of the fill and just add a stroke. So hit the minus, add the stroke, and again, we can just sample the colors. Let's make this 3 pixels, and we can do boom, and there we go. What we can also do here is just copy paste everything down below. So here, I also want to make sure that this is aligned properly with the box. Let's actually make some changes here. Just copy this one and this one. So hold shift. I'm going to drag down with alt. And as you can see, we can have the same spacing here. Let's try 35-ish, like so. You can drag again. We're going to get 35, like so. We can change this to email, and we can change this to message. And for message, I kind of want to have a longer message, so I can drag this down like so. Good. And we also need a submit button. Again, we can copy paste things because why not? I'm gonna actually put this to the middle. As you can see, we have the flow going on, but what you can also do is rather than having this here, you can have this to the center because that kind of pops more. You have structure here and all of a sudden, boom, you have this. Well, it kind of brings attention to the submit button. So that's the only reason why I'm putting it here. Some people do it like here. Oh, it's whatever, not really a big deal. I like it centered. I think it entices people to click it more. This is a group, by the way, so we have to open it up, and we are gonna change the text to submit. And there we go. Let's make sure everything is centered here as well. Now this kind of annoys me, so I'm gonna lock it here. We can just grab everything here and just make sure it's centered with the text, like so. But hey, look, there we go. We have a full website made. So thank you for watching this. Hope it helped in any way. And yeah, let me know if you want to see more of these design kind of tutorials. Thank you again so much for watching. Please consider dropping a subscribe. I'm waiting for my monetization, by the way. Hope it gets approved. Let's finger crossed, because if we get monetized, then that means a lot of videos coming up. Whew, let's pray. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye bye, friends.